So to paraphrase Jan Brady, why is it always Pantheon, Pantheon, Pantheon? I mean, I know, I get it. It's probably one of the most important buildings of all time. But the Romans built a lot of dome buildings with oculi, maybe not as big, but 2,000 years later, several of those are still in very good condition and some are still in use. So let's take a spin around and see them. I'll go in chronological order and stick relatively close to Rome. First, the oldest of these domed rooms with oculi is the Frigidarium in Pompeii. That's the cold room in the bathhouse. I don't know why, but for some reason, the most important innovations in Roman architecture always start in a bathhouse. This one was built in the 1st century BC. The dome is 21 feet in diameter, and you can't take a bath there, but you can see it if you're down in Pompeii. Then we move a few miles north to the Frigidarium in the baths at Baiae. This one was never a temple, but it's called the Temple of Mercury. If it was a temple, it'd probably be in a lot better condition, and we'll talk about that a little later. This one is full of water, but it's still in pretty good condition. Then moving into Rome, we have the octagonal room in Nero's Domus Aurea. It was built about 100 years later in the 1st century AD. It's 44 feet in diameter, so a little smaller than the others we've previously seen. But now it's no longer in the bathhouse. It's been moved into more residential construction. Vespasian and his sons tore down the Domus Aurea, but they buried this room, and so it's actually pretty well preserved, and it's still in use today as part of a museum. By the way, fun fact, the walls in the Domus Aurea were decorated by a famous painter named Fabulous. As I often say, you can't make this stuff up. Next, Vespasian's son Domitian built a palace along the Appian Way that had a room with a dome and an oculus, and it's actually still in use today as a church. If you ever see a building that the Romans built that's still in use, chances are that it either is or was a church. So this particular one is the Church of Santa Maria del Rotonda, not a very creative name in some ways. The dome is 51 feet in diameter. The previous domes were all concrete. This particular one is opus mixtum, which is a concrete core with stone and brick facing. I have a video on the different kinds of Roman wall construction if you're interested, and I'll put a card in the upper right. Now we get to the Pantheon, which is just absolutely huge, 140 feet in diameter, and still in use today as a church. There were several dome buildings with oculi constructed over the next few hundred years, but most of those have collapsed, and so I'll skip those and stay with the ones in good condition. So that takes us to the Baths of Diocletian. The Baths of Diocletian originally had 4 domed rooms with oculi. We have the planetarium that houses part of the National Museum of Rome, and then we also have one of the 2 domed rooms that was on the outer wall of the baths. That one currently is, yes, a church. It's the Church of San Bernardo al Terme of the Baths, so an appropriate name. Then in Rome, we have the 4th century temple dedicated to Valerius Romulus, who was the son of Emperor Maxentius. It's been converted to a church, as usual. It's the Church of Santi Cosmo e Damiano. It was really pretty heavily mutilated during the renovation, so I don't have any pictures of the interior I really want to show you. If you've been in it and you liked it, why don't you put some comments down in the chat below? I'd appreciate it. Then we zip out to Tivoli with the Temple of Tosei, also built in the 4th century of opus mixtum. Its construction is 36 feet in diameter. It's in really good shape because, yes, again, it was a church. It's now private property. It's undergoing renovation, so hopefully we'll be able to get inside of it here in the not too distant future. So there you have it, 8 domed buildings with oculi within about 1 hour of Rome. I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's stuff I got wrong, stuff I got right, other things you'd like to see, please put a comment down in the chat. And please don't forget, that's too cheesy. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And then right now in the bottom of the screen, you should be seeing a link to one of my videos that YouTube thinks that you would like. So why don't you give that a click and see you soon.